106.7 KROQ is KROQ. It's Kevin in the Morning with Allie and Jensen.
It's getting real wrestling up here right now. We are very excited to have a legend in the field, a best-selling author, a stand-up comedian. He is a former champion. Give it up for Mick Foley.
Woohoo!
Mick Foley in the building.
It's nice to be here.
We are very excited to have you. You are celebrating the 20th anniversary of your first book.
That's insane.
And I guess people who didn't follow his career did you hand write the book?
Yeah, I sure did. It's almost 200,000 words in 50 days.
What?
So I had a ghostwriter assigned to the project, and just a few weeks in, or maybe a couple months in, I just thought, this is a really mediocre book with my name on it.
Sure.
And when I mentioned it to Judith Regan, who was my publisher, she goes, we'll just find another writer. I said, Judith, I was thinking of writing it myself.
She was terrified at that point.
Well, the silence.
Yeah, sure.
The pro wrestler who fell off a steel cage wants to write a book, right?
Yeah. And so I filled in the blanks. I just said, how about I start working on it and see if you like it? And she took me up on that. And the next, 4 days later, I turned in 70 pages.
That's insane.
Notebook paper. And she liked it, There's conversational writing style people can relate to.
You know that she now uses that in every story with her writers. Like, Mick Foley gave me 70 pages in 2 days.
Yeah, it was on the New York bestseller, Timeless Forever. I mean, it almost like defined the wrestler book, which is now kind of like a thing.
Yeah, it did hit number one. Yeah. It stayed there for a couple weeks, maybe 3 weeks, and then it stayed on the list, which is even more impressive, for 26 weeks.
Wow.
Oh,
and
my
usually
gosh.
biographies or autobiographies, they kind of have their little run, and this one just really struck a chord with people. And the reason I decided to do the tour is because over the years I would see that people were carrying and it was a big book, it was close to 200,000 words, so big that Chris Jericho actually knocked me out with my own book.
That's just
disrespectful. Really disrespectful.
Did you know you hand wrote it? I mean, it's a pretty serious thing.
And
so they would bring the book?
Yeah, they bring the book, and I would hear the stories about how over and over again, this was a book that made people who didn't feel like they fit in anywhere, like they had a place to fit in, or at the very least, like they weren't alone.
Now, was that your goal when you were starting?
No,
not at all, right? You just had some stories.
I just started writing it. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea.
Was there a time when someone said you should write a book and you were like, I'm not an author?
My dad kept telling me, it was a great experience. Like, I remember I'd come home from Nigeria, I'd be all beaten up. I got bludgeoned by fans over there. I got stitched up on a dirt floor of a chemist's office because they said they couldn't trust the doctor.
What?
And
I'm sorry, they couldn't trust the doctor.
I couldn't trust the doctor.
Sure.
No.
We've all been there.
I came home with $180 for 2 weeks' work.
Oh,
and my
man.
dad's like, it's a great experience. You ought to write a book, And so he was definitely the glass half full guy. Mm-hmm. And then in '89, I started jotting down some things, and I was just lucky that it all came rushing back to me. When I sat down, it was really a pure. Everything I've wrote subsequently has had some little tinge of the money grab, like I can make money writing.
Sure.
But that first one, because people thought absolutely nobody's going to read a wrestling book.
Did they tell you that?
Yeah, over and over again. And I guess we proved them wrong.
Yeah. It seems like every big wrestler who comes through at this point, especially WWE, writes a book. It's almost part of the formula. Did you have any experience writing before?
Well, I was a pretty good writer. I look back in my old college papers, and one of my professors was like, you really ought to pursue writing for a career.
And you're like, I want to get hit with barbed wire.
Exactly. I'd begun my training in wrestling, and I thought, that's a ridiculous idea. I had no idea that in some ways I was just building content.
Wow.
Something to write about.
Books. Yeah.
Do you look back, now there's kind of a resurgence in hardcore wrestling, and I remember reading the book. It was always weird to me that the guy who got hit with light bulbs and stuff also loved theme parks. You lived in this duality, but now there's a whole new generation of hardcore wrestling from GCW and Joey Janela and Nick Gage and these guys. Do you look at them and get nervous for them?
I do. Yeah. I don't want to believe that I inspired that, but I think I might have played a role.
I would think so. Yeah,
I would think so.
And I think I also played a role in inspiring people who didn't have the classic build
Sure.
to pursue it. I
Sure.
think there were a lot of people who were like, "Oh, that guy can do it."
But you're pretty open about like what you like falling off the steel cage and stuff. You're very open about what it's done to you over the years.
Sure, man.
Like, but watching new guys do it, does it sort of make you want to call them and be like,
Well, I would suggest to these people that they lean on the stuff that can be feigned. Like the cheese grater to the head,
Yeah.
no easier to move to feign.
Right.
No need to actually grate somebody's head.
That makes sense.
It's like
That is great advice.
That does make sense.
well, I remember, there's that strong style wrestling in Japan, right? And it's this idea where, yes, we are going to hit each other as hard as we possibly can, but react as if we're not getting hit at all. Like we are going to no-sell the hardest punches. And even when I was in the hardcore style, I'd be like, isn't that kind of
Dumb.
opposite?
Makes no sense, yes.
How about you don't hit me as hard as you can, and I
And
will
I'll
react
act like it.
Right.
as if you did, what Terry Funk would call superselling. And there are points where you absolutely, I would say in my shows sometimes, I create, like when I lost part of my ear in Munich, Germany, and I'll say like we create illusions, and I say now would create the illusion of hanging helplessly by my neck in the ropes, and the way I was able to create that illusion was by actually hanging helplessly. There's no way really to feign that one.
it's easy to convince people that you might lose your ear when you've lost your ear already. Yeah.
My mathematical formula, honestly, was if it hurts me a lot, they might believe it hurts me a little. And
Wow.
so I
Your
would
math is as bad as mine.
Man, yeah.
Not good.
Not
Seemed like a good idea when I was 19.
Yeah.
And
Not so
then
much now?
Well, as I got into my late 20s
Yeah.
and 30s, I was like, maybe the flying elbow on the concrete isn't the best finishing move.
Mick Foley's in the studio with us. We do need to take a break, but you can see him on his Nice Day tour tonight at the Irvine Improv at 8 o'clock, tomorrow at the Ontario Improv, and then Thursday at the Oxnard Levity Live. And the tickets are at realmickfoley.com or improv.com.
Only $25
Yeah,
too.
not
It's
bad.
a good deal.
Not bad.
We'll take a quick break. We'll be right back.
KROQ.
And the hardcore legend is here. Mick
Yeah.
Foley joining us in the studio. He's showing us pictures of himself as Santa Claus.
With Bill Murray, who's dressed like an elf. Oh my gosh.
What is that from?
What is in this?
Possibly the best Santa photo of all time, right?
Oh my
Why-
gosh.
Bill
Bill
Murray on
Murray
my
is on
lap.
his
How
Sitting
lap.
on your lap.
How are you Bill Murray Santa?
Listen, I know it's like when worlds collide.
What a weird life you have.
I know.
I have a really good friend who plays bass and plays with Nora Jones. And so I've been their Santa for several years. And then last year, Bill Murray was a guest. Tore down the house singing Blue Christmas.
Sure.
And so my friend Catherine just says, Bill, this is Santa. She doesn't say this is my friend Mick.
Nothing.
This
This
my
is Santa.
And he sits across both my legs. And just randomly starts telling me what he wants for Christmas.
Oh, my
And then the
gosh.
great bonding moment was that even though we hadn't technically shared any words together, as soon as we saw that there was a professional photographer, like he immediately went into like pouty child look, and I went into like the "you'd better watch out," and it looks like we were in a studio for 2 hours.
So cute.
Do you remember what he asked for?
He was random,
Just
random
nonsense?
children's things. He
Okay.
wasn't asking for like adult
gosh.
toys or anything.
How great is that?
It's cool. And then, so this year he did it. He sang White Christmas instead of Blue Christmas. But I ended up coming in when he was rehearsing with the women. And so he stuck around while I rehearsed Santa Claus is Coming to Town, and we bonded a little bit.
You're Mick Foley.
What's happening?
What is happening?
How is this happening?
It is another thing that from the book from 20 years ago, which is an anniversary, is that you learned about kind of the idiosyncrasies of this mankind, of Cactus Jack, of Dude Love. You know him from beating people up, from bleeding, his tooth going into his nose or whatever weird. But then you found out he loved Christmas.
Yeah.
Oh, me too.
Oh, yeah, I love that Christmas.
And he would go to like Winter Wonderland and all these different places. And you, it was like you had like an obsession about it.
Obsession would be fair. Obsession. I remember Triple H looking at me at in the TV tapings in 2013. And now I specifically don't do anything with WWE as Santa because, like, I think I work hard enough at it to earn the right, when I walk into a hospital room or something. It's in wrestling, the big compliment is, kid, you're a hell of a worker, right?
Sure.
The biggest compliment in the world when you're portraying this iconic figure is that when you leave, you hear the children saying, that was the real Santa.
Yeah.
So when you work hard enough to earn that real Santa title,
You don't bring it around. It's a serious thing.
I don't want to show. I don't want to be the WWE guy. Like I want to be that guy, who makes hearts light, and spreads some joy. So, but anyway, back in 2013 when I was the WWE Santa, but they didn't put me on Raw. And I was so upset they brought me for 3 days.
They didn't even put Santa on.
So July, they put me on their C show, like Superstars.
Right.
So it was like July, and my daughter finally stops me in the car and goes, Dad, you have to stop talking about the time Vince McMahon didn't put you on Raw. You are no longer fun to talk with. I was so
You're
convinced.
Obsessed with it.
I thought it was personal. Hey, they had Damian Sandow as the bad Santa going up against Mark Henry as the good Santa.
Sure.
And they said, Vince thinks there's already too many Santas on the show. I go, let me be the referee. It's the rule of 3, right? 2 Santas isn't funny. Let me call it right down the line, that's funny. Like, boom, 2, Santa.
Sure.
And, Mick, I just don't see it.
Yeah.
And I swear, I would have walked out of that building if it wasn't for the fact that I wanted a photo with Brie and Nikki Bella.
Sure.
The
we all
dual
do,
photo Santa. And so they saved me from walking out of that building.
You brought up your daughter. She is super into wrestling and does interviewing and sort of like involved in the industry. Is are your children following in your footsteps? Is that something you are interested in?
As a wrestler?
Or just in the business?
My son is one of the head writers for NXT now.
Oh, wow. I didn't know.
And what's really nice is the superstar, like I would get flack when I would write wrestler in the book,
and don't call it a belt.
It's not a belt, know. And I remember one time when I was doing the broadcasting, right, and I called it a belt because they have it in a big case, they're going to be wrestling for it, some type of elimination thing. And I go, they're taking a look at that belt, and I realize, oh no, I'm going to get chewed out. I was like, that WWE Heavyweight Championship title that is symbolized by it's not a belt. I knew it was coming.
But are you fine with them following in your footsteps?
Well, I'm fine with my son writing. What I was saying is that I saw the way the wrestlers were interacting. They're just starting to realize he's my son.
Right.
And they really like him and they respect him. And you did some work with
I
WWE.
did. I wrote in 2005,
and
2006.
you know the way some of the guys treat the writers.
I do. It's not great.
It's not great.
You were always great.
I was easy to work.
You were always very sweet. Yeah. No, but some aren't.
Because there was a story where Becky Lynch is in she's in catering with me before she became the man, right? So she's still this amazing wrestler, but didn't have the gimmick or the character. And she sees me get my promo from the writers. So my son had informed my wife that I wasn't going to be happy with the promo. All right, and my wife informed my son I've been around a long time and I'll work around it. So Becky was right there, and I'm saying to the guy, okay, I think there's a little bit too much humor here. This is when I'm handing Dean Ambrose, I'm passing the torch, I'm handing him my barbed wire bat. And I said, I think once I hand Dean the bat, there's nothing he can say that is more powerful than his reaction. So maybe we should just ease out at that point. And I go on about 5 minutes, maybe tweak this one a little bit. And he walks away, and I said to Becky, did you notice how this promo now bears no resemblance to the one I was given, but I never made the writer feel it wasn't his? And she looked at me and goes, you're good. You got to know when to pick your fights.
There are a lot of people who don't care about that, though.
Right.
They don't care to try and make the other person feel all right.
The decorum.
Yeah.
But I understand it's a tough job. It's a thankless job. Did anyone ever come out of that ring and walk up to you and go, that was a heck of a promo you wrote me?
I would say Cena did.
Cena did?
That would be it.
Whoa.
That would be it. And you know who else is very nice?
I love
very
Cena.
Gold Dust. Dustin was very sweet
really good,
back in the day, too. Those were guys that but I mean, one, I brought this up recently, but one wrestler just called me S-Head for 6 months. Didn't want to learn my real name.
No.
Bradshaw,
I was going to say.
He was gonna give
it was either S-Head or F-Face, one or the other.
And he was nice to me and still called me S-Head.
Jeez.
Yeah, it wasn't
That means
great.
he likes you, no?
He did, I think. I don't know. It wasn't great. But you brought up WWE. Do you think the new competition, do you think the idea that now Vince, because you were around during the first WCW days, do you think that having competition is going to help the product?
Yes, I do. I think it already has.
And have you been able to watch the new stuff?
I usually side with NXT because my son
Is a
writes
writer,
for
and
it.
it's very good.
And I don't do as much watching as I used to. So sometimes, and I'm on the road a lot.
Yeah.
Like I flew more last year than I have at any time since 2001. So I do record it. I don't often get around to watching it, but I keep up with it. I want both companies to be successful. I think it works best for everybody when there's some competition there. And
Sure.
from what I understand, it's kind of forced WWE's hand, especially when it comes to paying
It does,
some of
yeah.
the middle of the card
Yeah.
and lower card talent. And I'm all for anything that's good for the
Agreed.
boys and the women.
Agreed.
Mick Foley's in the studio. Do we have time for 60
Yeah.
Wait, you
seconds?
didn't just film me saying that, did you? No, man, I'm just trying to promote a show.
No, those cameras are not there.
I've got
No, they're
3
not
shows coming up. I need to promote these bad boys.
Well, let's talk about that quick before we do 60 seconds. Tonight, you're going to be at the Irvine Improv at 8 p.m. Tomorrow, you're going to be at the Ontario Improv at 8 p.m. And then Thursday, you're going to be at the Oxnard Levity Live. And you can get those tickets at realmickfoley.com or improv.com. 60 seconds with Mick Foley.
All you're going to do is answer first off the top of your head.
let me hear.
Not too much thought. All right?
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
If you could join the cast of any TV show, past or present, which would you choose?
Friends.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
If you could know when you're going to die, would you want to?
Yes.
If animals could talk, which one would be the biggest a-hole?
Aardvark.
Not wrong.
Creepiest thing you could say to a stranger you pass in the street?
Creepiest thing
Yeah.
that I have said to a stranger?
No, or
That
that
you
you
could.
could. You
Or that you
could.
could.
Oh, I don't. Help me out here. I don't know if I'm creepy enough.
Hello, mister.
Hello, mister.
All
To
right.
anyone, woman also.
If you can be any animal, what animal would you be?
Aardvark.
If you
I
could
wanna be-
change one thing about yourself, what would you change?
My BMI ratio.
Okay. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
No, absolutely not.
Great.
Do you accept dog kisses on the mouth?
Absolutely.
What is your worst trait?
Worst trait? I've been known to skip a shower or two.
Perfect answer.
Excellent.
Very
Good to
good
know.
60
Good
seconds.
to know.
Very
I've
good.
been known to skip a shower or two.
Amazing.
Love it. Love
Amazing.
it. Love it.
Mick, it's always great to have you in. Thank you for coming back in.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's 20 years since
I
the
know,
book.
it's
That's
crazy.
insanity.
It's been so much fun. Thank you very, very much.
No, and if
Thank
you like
you.
the stories in the book or what you just heard or just a WWE fan, his shows are great. Go see them ASAP tonight.
Tonight will be what we call an intimate gathering.
Okay, good.
But Ontario's looking really good. Oxnard's looking really good. And I think Irvine will fill out nicely.
Great.
And I'm trying to talk your wife into coming to this.
I know he was on Boy Meets World when my wife was like 11 or 12 years old or something. I should have worded that better.
Yeah, that's not a good story.
He's like one of the most memorable episodes of Boy Meets World ever, and Danielle has only loving things to say. And you guys have kept in
And
touch
we
over
kept
here.
in touch.
I
And
love
we've got a
that.
10-year break.
Yeah.
And then I saw on Twitter, someone said, hey, at Danielle Official, and I can't remember the name of the other actress.
Yeah.
They're talking about you. So I go over there, and the question was, who was your favorite guest star?
And it was
And they
you?
both
Yeah.
said me. So I give her like, hey, thank you, at Danielle Official. And we've been in touch ever since.
And we run into you every once in a while.
Yeah.
She only has great things to say about him, and for good reason. He's hilarious.
I
and great.
feel like you're the real Santa Claus.
That's
I really,
true.
I feel like you are.
That is the
feel like
best
now
compliment
he can never
ever.
do it on this show again, just like that. Praise him too much, and Santa only comes out once a year.
Thank you, Mick.